Here's something I want to ask you about though, and I want to ask a lot of you folks about this. I was reading this week about people as they start to get older and after the pandemic. There was a study done, and it says most people want to grow old in their home, right? The idea of going to a facility or moving away from their home, a lot of people don't want that. They want to grow old in their home. But the article was about how the fact is most people want this, but most people aren't preparing for it. So I know a lot of times when you're in your 20s, 30s, 40s, or even your 50s, sometimes you're not thinking about that. You don't think about it until you start to get in your 60s and you're approaching retirement age in terms of how you want to live your older life. So what I'm going to ask the folks out here is, have you guys even thought about that? What happens when you turn 60, 70, 80, if you're lucky enough, 90? Have you put any thought into that at all?
I have, because my mom's in that age bracket and I'm looking at what I got to do for my mom for her to, be comfortable. So I actually put a lot of thought into it.
Okay. So when you're doing the preparation for your mother, does it make you think about your own?
It does, because I personally have put endless hours into making sure that she's comfortable in her in her years, and I don't want my kids to put those kind of hours in with me. So
okay.
You know what I mean? Like,
okay.
So.
All right, man. I think this is an interesting conversation to have because, according to the statistics, most people don't put this kind of thought about their golden years in until it's kind of too late. So they end up in a house in which they want to grow old in, but it's not conducive to them being older. Someone just mentioned it in the comment. It was Mark. Mark says that it's messed up when you can't walk down them damn stairs, right? That was actually part. As a matter of fact, I have an article. I'm going to share it because that was part of the conversation as well. Was that a lot of times people just aren't prepared for that at all. All right, so here's the article right here. It says 90% of people want to grow old in their home. So what's the real cost of doing so? So Lowe's did a survey as well, and it talks about the different costs that you may have in terms of that. Stuff like curb-free showers, pull-out cabinet organizers, wheelchair ramps, smart home devices like digital clock, video doorbell. So these are things that you may not be thinking about now, but the point of the article and the point of the study was it's best to think about these things when you're young, even if you're in your 20s. People don't want to think about that at all, right? A walk-in tub could come with a $5,000 price tag, it says here. Stair lift is about $8,000.
Yeah, stair lift is expensive as hell.
And if you need a home health aid, the national average in 2019, remember this is 2019, before everything rose in price, was $22 an hour, right? The national average cost for an assisted living facility was $4,000 a month, though it could be more than $9,000 depending on the state and the facility, right?
Yeah.
So
that's also expensive as hell, because my mom was in one of those when she was recovering from one of the surgeries she had, and they was charging 4 racks a month. But after 3 months, after 90 days, that price went to 9 racks a month. I was like, damn. And the crazy part is, my mom was an accountant, so she lives pretty good in retirement. At $9,000 a month, they literally would have been taking almost her whole check.
Yeah, man. And this is why I'm just bringing this up as a conversation that we have on Friday, because I know, none of our folks, or maybe we do have some older folks that are watching, but a lot of us are younger. But let's start thinking about this stuff now, right? So it says in this article that plenty of Americans want to age in place, meaning that they don't want to go anywhere. You have your house, your apartment, whatever it may be. That's where you want to stay. Almost 9 in 10 people want to remain at home, though only a quarter said they thought their homes would be ready for that. So, most of us don't have the financial means or, haven't made the changes needed.
Yeah, man. That's tough because, right, if you got to do reno, that means you got to stay somewhere till the reno is done. So, like, how do you make that transition? Because normally, age catch you immediately. Like, one day you can do shit and then stuff, and then one day you just can't.
It sound like Peyton Manning's last year in the NFL. Like, he was nice, and then one day he just wasn't.
Yeah, like, you know what I mean? Like, old age, when old age hits you, you go down. Like, there's no recovering. So my thing is, that's why most people not prepared. I don't even think it's financially. I mean, some people unprepared financially. Most people might be, but even the people with finances ain't really prepared, because one day you fully functional, and then the next day You're not. And
But
now
here's the point of the
all of
conversation,
this
Corey.
stuff.
What you're just saying, we know that, right? So if you know that, you just got to start putting things
So
in place.
what if one day you could walk? You're in your 60s. One day you could walk, and then you just break down, and then now you ain't. If you could walk yesterday, you ain't thinking about no damn walking tub. You ain't thinking about that. So you know what I mean? Like,
So all right, so now that's fine. But if you have resources, this is why, in general, this entire world is not built for poor people, right? Because when you have resources, you can make moves. So even if you don't have those things already done in your home, if you've been saving and putting aside for
it can get done,
if
and it can
things
get
get
done
done.
fairly. It can get done fairly quickly. It's
Listen,
just
man,
it's
a
not
great black philosopher named Ab Lava once said, "Man, the paperwork makes the paperwork." Right. So therefore, if you got your paperwork together, you get your papers. It'll make the paperwork. So as
you gotta
long as
shout Ab Lava out on our page too. That line is fire, dog.
absolutely. So I'm just saying, like, the paperwork makes the paperwork. So as long as you're putting up for these things, and this is why I want to have see, a lot of times in finance, we have conversations. It's not the sexy ones, but it's the things that we have to be talking about. We got to be talking about, saving, trust, all kind of stuff we talk about on Friday. We have fun, but just some of the basics are missing. So as it pertains to growing old, want to stay in place, want to make sure your house is set. I know a lot of us have, older parents or grandparents, and you see how that change, like Corey said, happens overnight. But you need to be in position to take care of them, right?
So I was watching Brandon Marshall show.
Mm-hmm.
I forget the name of it, but it's about mental health and black men and mental health.
Okay.
And he was talking about the flow of money.
Mm-hmm.
And what he said that when black people get money, the money flow backwards, right? Because everything in the world flows downhill, except for when black people get money. When we get money, we start paying it back instead of paying it forward. So our money, and that's another reason why we get farther and farther behind other races, because other races, their parents set them up, and then their money moves forward and their money flows downhill, where our money has to flow uphill first before we even have a chance for it to flow downhill.
I get that, right?
And no. He didn't say anything was wrong with it. And I was like, damn, yo, but when you think about
there's nothing wrong with it, and he's not wrong either. What I was just going to add to the conversation is it's because we're starting from behind, right? Yeah. So it's easy to look at other cultures and say, man, they do it that way, right? But the fact of the matter is, systematically, we haven't been given the opportunity to do so. So we're still playing catch up. A lot of us that have built anything are first generation, maybe second generation.
No. And that's what he was saying. That's why that's exactly was his point. You know what I mean? Like that head start is real, and that's why the flow it flows backwards instead of the way like everybody else's flows. And he wasn't saying it in any kind of derogatory manner. It was just the simple fact that I never thought about that conversation about which way the money flows when it comes into black families, especially when the first generation.
Listen,
families.
When I went to law school, right? I literally remember, like I had all kinds of crazy hustles to try to pay for it. And the crazy part about it was it wasn't really the tuition, because I was borrowing gobs of student loan money, not even gonna hold you. But it was like the books. Those books were so expensive. And I was doing all kinds of stuff, to get the money to get the books. And I remember vividly one day talking to classmates it was this young white girl, and she was just like, I'm just gonna call my dad. And she called her dad, and the boy sent her like a 10 grand check to get books. And I was like, yo, our books don't even cost 10 grand. So I call him and get another 10. Like, it was so nonchalantly. And then we realized in that time, like, yo, she can pick up the phone and Pops will just give her whatever she wants. I'm out here barely getting sleep, trying to do things to make sure I can, you know what I mean? So it's like that head start is real.
No,
so now on the flip side, when I'm out here trying to get the money to pay for the stuff, you could be studying, right? So then you see how
that puts you at an advantage again, a secondary advantage,
because
that advantage isn't her fault.
It's not her fault.
An advantage, right?
Yep.
So no. But this is a wealth building conversation, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so if we want to have wealth building conversations, all of these things are part of that conversation. And like I said, that was a deep conversation.
No, he's right. He's absolutely right. But this is why we got to have these conversations and talk about that stuff moving forward. Because I know a lot of people that I talk to, and I'll bring up a conversation about, are you prepared for your future? They're like, my kids are going to take care of me. They better take care of me. I'm taking care of them. And that's their response.
But my thing is with what?
And they're not joking. They're dead ass serious.
What I'm saying is, what are you preparing them to take care of you with? You just out here living life and like, all right, I'm just gonna put the whole onus on them to get it right and get me right. Like that's just ridiculous. That's ridiculous as hell. When you think about that, that's just like, all right, I'm gonna put my fate in the hands of another grown person. They're grown at that point and they got kids. Like my thing is, as much as I love my mom, my kids are my first, or is my first responsibility because my kids didn't ask to be here. My mom is an adult who had actions and choices that she made while my kids didn't have that chance. And so my money is going to flow downhill first. Then if whatever I may have or may not have, I'll help, use the help of other family members. I'm not doing it the other way. I did it the other way for a long time, which is why I was broke as hell forever.